How do you feel today?
I feel amazing. We've had a great night here. We all came up to my room, Danny. I had Ryan Dempster. We had Mark DeRosa, Team USA manager. Had a buddy come in town. But I'm going to tell you, you didn't realize we were going to be there for 18 innings. It kept getting better and better and better. And I want to ask you one question. Is Shohei Otani AI? Because what he does on the field doesn't make sense. I think we all just sit here and go, yep, just going to go back to the computer board. He'll go Oppo, Taco. Crazy.
I think it's gotten to the point where they're not going to pitch to him.
You can't. Like, we were sitting there last night, and it was so fascinating because, Mark was playing if I was the bench coach, and what would you do here? And would you take out Kirk to pinch run? And there's so many decisions before they happen, right? Before we all play armchair quarterback. Fascinating. Yeah, you have to. And then you're sitting here, you walking him to a former MVP in Mookie Betts. And then if you want to get by him, then you got another former MVP, Mr. World Series. So it's fascinating. And how you do it, I just got to walk him. He's proven to you.
But has he gotten to the Barry Bonds status when it comes to you just can't pitch to him?
You just can't because you think you can. And even when he walked, that last at bat when it wasn't just put him on, you see the stress, though. Like, this poor pitcher's trying to not throw a strike, see if he'll expand. But, we are. If I tell you, Danny, hey, stay away, and then you just, leave one curveball up, it's like it might be embarrassing. And that's what he can do to you, Dan. You know that. You'll get embarrassed. A home run's a home run, then he'll put you in the parking lot. And when you're in the last row of the bleachers, and you and I are sitting back there with the $900 ticket these days, and usually the home runs kind of go, oh, yeah, who's going to catch it? And now they go like this. Heads up in the parking lot, guys. Heads up. Yeah, there's a ball bouncing. It just doesn't make sense.
Scherzer can't get away with that pitch. Maybe a younger Scherzer can, but there are just places where the other home run, that's a terrible pitch.
Right.
If I'm making a mistake, my mistake is never going to be across the plate.
Yeah, it's funny because, when you get the group text, you're trying to, there's 4,000 different things. And John Smoltz, all of us were on this text, and he's kind of like, they're pitching him not so good. He is amazing, but you do have to be careful, and there's this old story, I told Ryan when we faced Barry Bonds, everybody walks Barry Bonds. I said, just throw the four-seamer. Just go after him. Let's see what he has. Well, he had it, a few pitches later, Ryan was coming in. He's like, thanks for that one. He could hit. That's what happens, though. That you and I are sitting there and we're watching this game like, are they going to walk him again? Should they walk? No, just go at him a little bit. Maybe just a little bit. There's no little bit. Like in the World Series, in this kind of a moment, you're just going to have to say Mookie Betts is going to have to beat us.
Yeah, and I started to wonder about the impact that this will have on tonight's game because Otani's pitching. So you play 18 innings. Most pitchers aren't doing anything prior to that night that they're going to be pitching. This is where you cement a legacy if you're Otani. If he goes out there and throws 5 quality innings, we might be looking back on this, 10, 15 years from now and telling our kids, grandkids, we did see the greatest performance in baseball history.
It is, there's not words. You don't know what word to use. And Yamamoto going in there to warm up, for him to come down, whatever you need me to do, you got goosebumps when you saw him walk to the bullpen, yelling like Otani. There was a stat, he was 7 for 7, his last 7, with 5 home runs and 2 doubles. D-Row looked at me, DeRosa goes, are we watching the Little League World Series? These are numbers. To hit a big league home run in the postseason is big. And now we start hearing these numbers like George Springer has, 27 postseason home runs. And you're watching Otani make this look like a video game. It's not that easy, guys. I want everybody to understand that. It's not that easy. And the $750 million contract that we all sat back going, good Lord have mercy. He's almost underpaid. He should have been paid $2.7 billion. Right?
It's not your money.
No, you and I'll give a percentage of the team. My goodness gracious.
Ronnie, you've seen a lot of baseball.
Ooh.
Have you seen anything that compares to what you saw on Friday night?
I've never seen anything like it. I think that we're used to seeing great things from great athletes, and we always find the words. I found it very difficult to find any words for what happened on Friday night. That's something that I thought might be 100 years from now, maybe. I didn't know it was present now. It was just it was stuff that you see in Williamsport. You don't see at Dodger Stadium on a Friday night.
A Little League World Series instead of a playoff. But, no other player has this opportunity to pitch and then bat leadoff. I mean, there's nobody else. Even Babe Ruth didn't do this. He probably batted third in the lineup with the Yankees, but he stopped pitching to just then concentrate on hitting.
Yeah, it's and the pitching and the way you pitched and got people out in those days certainly is a little different than what guys are looking at today. But I remember, I'm old enough that when I was drafted, I remember saying to my agent, I said, what if I don't like who drafts me? Why can't I go to Japan and play for a couple of years? I'm 20 years old. It would be a great place to hang out, learn a lot about baseball, formative years, and also a new culture. And my agent told me that you'd be blackballed from baseball forever. But the one thing he did say, and I'll never forget it, because he said, it's inferior baseball over there. They'll have some pitchers maybe someday come over and make their mark. But the everyday player will never have a place in a Major League Baseball. And in my lifetime, we have the best player that I've ever seen was born in Japan.
But you also look at this and you wonder that, will this spawn other players who, and usually your pitcher is your shortstop and your best player and he bats third in the lineup. Why haven't we seen more of this? Paul Skeens was a great hitter in college. And I don't know, can you take advantage of that? Will teams do that?
I can only speak from my own experience, because when I hear about other pitchers that were great hitters, I'm always a little skeptical, and only in this sense is that I was a player pitcher myself, and I had great years as a collegiate. And then I started taking batting practice against major league pitchers, and the spin and the velocity. And I was, wow, am I out of my league? So even most collegiate players who are great hitters and pitchers find when they get to the major league level that they're not. So that's what makes it even more remarkable.
What was it more remarkable, the pitching or the hitting? If we separate the two, that he hits 3 bombs, but also the pitching, because, man, that was some filthy stuff that he was throwing.
Well, I think if we separate it, the pitching was remarkable only because he hasn't done a lot of it this year, and that he could be 2 weeks in between throwing in a major league game and produce those kind of results. But the one thing, Dan, I will tell you, especially his second and third home run, our people at Turner, they do such a great job with the pictures and the sound. They could not replicate the sound that second home run made. From the booth, it sounded like someone had shot off a cannon. I mean, the sound of the connection between bat and ball, I've never heard that before. And I've heard some great sounds, including some personally off me, that ended up going a long way. But I had never in the booth heard something that loud. And, we tried to capture it leaving the stadium. And when I was a young player going to Dodger Stadium for the first time, I had people all the time say, well, that's where Stargell hit the ball over the pavilion. And I guess kind of like Ted Williams' seat in Fenway Park. Yeah, whatever. Whatever you want to say. That's great. That's a nice story. And then you see someone do it. And you say to yourself, that which you thought was impossible is possible.